Let's do it.
Hi, I'm Cheryl. I'm a beauty editor here at InStyle. We're here for Transformation Live. We're going to be doing a haircut, a lob today with celebrity stylist Mark Townsend, and he's going to be showing us how to get this beautiful haircut on our features director, Lee, and so we're going to walk right through it.
Let's do it. We're doing a lob today. We talked a little bit beforehand about length, but when you're going to get a haircut, make sure you have a great conversation with your stylist before the scissors are picked up even.
Exactly.
Talk about like length and talk about what kind of lifestyle you have and how much time you're going to spend in the morning styling it. If you've only got 5 minutes, your hair's not going to look like Giselle.
Exactly.
You know, unless you are Giselle. However, I'll show you some tips and tricks to get something similar. So Lee and I talked about a lob, and we're going to go right around collarbone. Right here. And again, like instead of saying inches, I would rather say your hair will physically fall right about here.
I was going to say, I think that's a really important part. When people go in to see their stylist, they might be like, oh, I want 2 inches off, 3 inches off, and then they hate their haircut because they're like, it's so much shorter than I had expected it to be.
Right.
So instead of saying the inches, show them exactly where you want it to fall on your body.
Absolutely. And photos are a great starting point for the conversation of how you want your hair to look. Just keep in mind, you know, you Google beautiful hair these days, and you're going to see completely unreal images of hair. That, I mean, I've done some of those photo shoots. You have no idea the amount of extensions and wind machines and, let's be honest, photoshopping that goes into making that hair look so beautiful. So a little bit of a reality check is in order when getting a haircut.
And guys, we're here with Dove's celebrity stylist, Mark Townsend, so please send your questions. If you have any questions about lobs, about haircuts, whatever it might be, send them below so we can have Mark answer them.
And I'm ready to start. Is it okay?
Let's go for it.
All right. I can talk and cut at the same time.
So when someone goes in to see their hairstylist, you know, I think haircuts are something that a lot of women are really, really scared of. So, you know, what should you kind of go in prepared for? What should you do on your back end before just being like, hey, I want my hair cut 5 inches?
Well, like I said, photos are really, really, really good. And also start paying attention to your morning schedule. How much time really is important. Some women have 30 minutes to an hour to get ready in the morning. Some, you know, busy women have 5 to 10 minutes. So talk to your stylist about how to get your hair looking like it's been done in 10 minutes or less.
Okay. So depending on your time crunch. So if you're like a busy mom, maybe you don't have a full hour to get your hair done. But you want to use Pinterest as your friend, or like go through magazines, bring in tears to your stylist.
Exactly. And so, you know, stylists, we're kind of a brutally honest group of people. Like we'll let you know if it's the right cut for your face shape. And if we have to make a few adjustments to it, we will. Like one of Lee's things was she definitely wants to be able to keep her hair in a ponytail. She is very busy. So I want to be able to make sure her face framing layers can still get into a ponytail.
Right.
My favorite line today was, even if it's a little nub, as long as I can get it all off my face.
I think that's important for a lot of women. They want to feel like they can put their hair back in a ponytail if they want to work out. So with a style like a lob, what are some of the things that you want to keep in mind? I think that a lot of, you know, celebrities are getting this cut. It's really, really popular, and I think it rides that perfect wave between it's not short, but it's got a style to it. So what should you keep in mind? Like, can only certain textures wear this, or is this kind of like anybody can work it?
This is a super, super, super versatile haircut. That's why we've seen it. It's a haircut, you know, every few years it makes headlines because a celebrity does it. But think about it. We saw Cindy Crawford do this in the 80s. We saw Giselle do it in the late 90s. Now Dakota Johnson, Elizabeth Olsen, we're seeing all these great lobs, but they're versatile. You can still wear them up. You can change the texture. If you want a really straight, sleek look, it works amazing. If you want to do like a beachy wave or work with your natural texture, this is a really good one. Women with really curly hair would be terrified of cutting too much length off because those curls shrink up. So again, just keep in mind that if you're going to wear your hair curly, tell your stylist that.
Right. We've got a lot of hair falling on the floor here, people, but it looks good so far, so don't you worry. When it comes to styling, what are some of the things that you really want to keep in mind? Say, for example, if you have fine hair if you have a lot? Because I know, certain times, like certain cuts can make it look either thicker or fuller.
Yes.
So if you have fine hair, what are some things you should
Fine hair, you don't want to overlayer the hair because then the ends can start to look a little thin, scraggly. You want to have a little bit of bulk on your ends, which would be the opposite for someone with very curly hair.
Gotcha.
You want those layers to avoid the Christmas tree effect, or like a nice
no
A-line.
triangles.
Keep the A-line to your dress, not your hair.
Right.
But we hear the word hack so much lately,
Yes.
and I've been hearing like, what's the latest hair hack? And to be honest, the newest hair hack is learning how to use your products properly.
Okay.
Because no two people have the exact same hair.
Right.
I mean, I work with a pretty famous set of twins. And
Hello,
they,
Mary Kate and Ashley.
They have very different hair. I have to approach their hair.
And Elizabeth too. So
And Elizabeth has the hair of both Ashley and Mary Kate put together.
so funny.
She has the best head of hair I think I've ever worked with
Oh my God.
in my career.
So when it comes to, like say, thicker hair, what are things to keep in mind there?
You want to look for more of a smoothing lotion, or I find myself using a lot of creams
Okay.
when I'm working with thicker hair because you want to keep it nice and smooth so it doesn't get too thick. And again, with that A-line look, with the right layers, keeping this kind of face framing shape is the way to go. Like my fine hair girls, mousse is their best friend.
Okay.
Mousse has such a bad rap from the 80s. It's not the same. It's not that just ball of alcohol anymore.
Right.
That can dry before you even get it to your
So maybe
hair.
try back and experiment. If you had a bad, situation with it in the 80s, it's not necessarily the same anymore.
I mean, I got my hair pretty big in the 80s using some mousse. But I use mousse now as it's kind of a all-in-one product. I put it in wet hair before blowing it out.
Okay.
And I've been trying to keep natural texture. I mean, I'm not even wetting her hair today because I want to see what her real texture is going to fall like. She's got quite straight hair.
And actually, that's one of our questions here. Marlene wants to know, do you cut hair wet or dry? Obviously, you're doing it dry here. Do you think that there's, a benefit to doing it either way?
When you're cutting dry hair, you literally get to see right there where the length is going to fall. I'm not worried about, because it was wet, it's shrinking back up, shrinking up a little bit when it dries. It really depends on your hair texture.
Okay.
I tend to do curls on dry hair because
So you
they
can
can
see
shrink
exactly
up so
how
much.
the curl falls.
Exactly. I even have some clients that will tell me I prefer it dry, or I prefer when it's cut wet.
So you would say that that's okay. Like if one of our viewers wants to go into a stylist, they can say maybe like, hey, my curls shrink a lot.
Yes.
When, or they're very much longer when they're wet, so I prefer to get my hair cut dry.
Exactly.
So and then that way the stylist can see where all the hair falls properly.
Plus, I mean, that's when the stylist can know, oh, this client knows her hair. She knows what she's doing with it.
You're already coming in with the pictures.
It's a
then you're
relationship.
showing them where exactly to cut on your body. And so it's like,
this
you're
is a
coming
relationship
prepared.
between, a client and a hairdresser. It's a two-way street. Like, definitely have conversations.
Right.
Don't ever be afraid to recommend
up.
stuff to your stylist even. I say to clients all the time, no one knows your hair better than you do.
That's true. And I'm sure if you
let me
have
in
a
on your
cowlick
secrets.
or something, or you can only spend 15 minutes on your hair, you need to mention those things to your stylist to really
Absolutely.
have the best conversation.
Absolutely.
So from some more reader questions, how frequently should you be washing your hair?
I am not a wash every day and repeat kind of stylist. I really.
But is it okay to go a whole week without washing?
It depends on
some people do
your
that.
scalp. It really depends on your scalp. And the thing is, if you are washing every day, your hair or your scalp will start overproducing more oils and sebum to make up for all that you stripped away. So I tell my clients every 2 to 3 days.
Okay.
And especially now that we have like amazing dry shampoos on the market.
Right.
It's not just for hospitals anymore.
No, dry shampoo is the way to go.
It's the most used product in my kit, for sure.
And then when you are using dry shampoo, is there a way that you like to use it? Because I think some people say, oh, I try dry shampoo, it doesn't work for me. And I sometimes feel like maybe you're not using it right.
Like I said, number one, you're probably not using your dry shampoo in the right way. But I mean, we could do a whole nother Facebook Live for 2
Just on dry
hours
shampoo.
on dry shampoos. But they're amazing for when you actually do want to, clean the scalp in between traditional washings. You spray it on the root, give it a really good massage,
Okay.
and then brush through it. What you're doing is brushing away all the oil and product buildup that's in the hair.
So don't just like let it sit there.
No.
Like, really get in there.
And it says like hold the can 10 to 12 inches away for a really good reason. It has to dry before it hits the hair.
Okay.
And a lot of people will say, oh, it turns my hair white. You're probably holding it way too close to your scalp, because that's when it turns white and the color gets in there.
Okay, Mark, we're getting lots of comments here.
I can talk hair. So let's do it.
Tracy wants to know, is a slightly angled lob the best? Because we see a lot of those like asymmetrical styles. You know, does that work for certain face shapes, or is that more about like just a certain vibe you want to give off? Like it's a little bit edgier.
I really like, I mean, I'm even doing a slight angle here.
Okay.
Because you want a little bit of movement back here. Unless you're, well, even if you are going really, really straight and really, really sleek, it just gives such a more flattering line. We're still putting some layers to open up around here. We're not keeping it very heavy, but the actual line is a little asymmetrical.
Right.
It is more flattering. And the way to make this haircut really work, I'll give you like one of my favorite hacks. If you think you have a round face, draw a circle on a piece of paper. Now, the goal is to turn that circle into an oval. So shade out the sides a little bit, and you'll have an oval. So that means you really want to have a few layers.
It's all about
right
really
here.
the way the hair falls around the face.
The goal is always to create an oval. So, I mean, people think that they have a very square face. Draw a square on a piece of paper, and then you have to shade out the four corners.
Right.
To get
that softness.
To get an oval, meaning you would be great with some face framing layers here, and then again down here.
Very
To
cool.
create your oval. Does that make sense?
It does.
All right.
So hopefully your stylist will know that too. Exactly how to get to that
You show your
oval.
stylist. You could even show your stylist.
Exactly. So again, guys, we're here at Transformation Live. We're doing a lab with Dove celebrity stylist Mark Townsend, and we are. I want to say, how many inches have you taken off thus far?
We took about 5.5 to 6 inches off.
Awesome. Oh my goodness. Well, it's looking great so far. When it comes
Have you seen it yet?
I took my glasses off, so it's all a blur, but I'm sure it's great.
But I can vouch for it. It looks great so far. When it comes to blow drying and blowing out a lob, what are some things to keep in mind? Like, you know, is it different from doing a typical blowout, especially with that like asymmetrical type of shape? Is there anything to keep in mind?
It's really more about the texture of the hair.
Okay.
Like what we talked about earlier. If you have a hair that's a little on the finer side, put some mousse in there before blow drying. And I really love a lob that has some texture in it. So I tell my clients, like, rough dry it. Don't worry about the round brush.
Okay.
You know, flip
Like
your head
and
upside down and rough dry it.
It doesn't have to be
as
like
fast as
super,
possible.
super smooth.
No, because you're probably going to want to go back in with a dry shampoo or a salt spray.
Right.
To really give it that kind of texture.
So, I mean, Mark, I'm going to assume that Facebook Live is one of the most crazier places where you've cut hair. That you don't normally do this on a Monday morning, but do you have any other, I know you work with so many celebrities, any other fun stories of places you've cut hair?
Oh my gosh, I have cut hair, I would say probably on an airplane. And I have done that.
On an airplane.
I've done that.
What if there's turbulence?
I've done that twice. I mean, it is not good to cut hair during turbulence. It's also not a good idea, I found out the hard way, to blow dry hair on a plane, because once that tube
tough.
fills up with that hot air, everyone's sweating. But I mean, how many hotel bathrooms I've been in cutting hair. When I'm, again, like, I've got a famous set of sisters that I work with, and Mary Kate does not like the scissors. So I keep them in my pocket when I'm blow drying her hair, and I'll just, oh, that needs to go. Oh, that needs
You're like,
to go.
that's a dead end.
So
that
those
needs
are
to
my
be trimmed off.
Those are the secret haircuts that I do.
And what has been the most amount of, like, most dramatic, I guess, inches you've taken off?
I'm usually not the guy to call for like a real dramatic one. Like even when my clients have to do like a dramatic look for or a haircut for a movie, I'd rather do it over several days or several hours.
Right. I think that also gives a person more time to adjust.
Absolutely.
Because I think a lot of times when women get their hair cut, they come back and they're crying. I've had that experience, you know, from the salon.
I'm
And
gonna
it's because
tell
they have that shock.
I've had that experience where someone cried on me, and it was the worst feeling I've ever had.
Oh.
So I'd rather take a lot of extra time to
And,
make sure
like,
they're
get them comfortable with it.
I had to cut Reese Witherspoon's hair. I mean, she had that long, gorgeous, beautiful hair, and she had to cut it into a bob for a roll. It took us about 6 hours to do it.
You want
Because
to
I would
slowly
cut a
work your
little
way
bit
in.
and then work your way up. I'll never forget, though, the scaredest I ever was. Right after working on a film with Penelope Cruz, she wanted to cut her hair. And she really wanted to cut it. And I was like, okay, so we'll cut a few inches off and give you some layers. Then next week, we'll do a few more inches and a few more layers.
Right.
She said, Mark, put my hair
Just
in
do
a
it all.
ponytail and cut it off. I couldn't do it.
That's so
I
funny.
put it in the ponytail and I handed the scissors to somebody else. I'm like, you do it, I can't.
Yeah.
And I mean, cutting off Jennifer Lawrence's hair was
That was a major cut as well.
I didn't do the really short cut. I did when she went into her like super shaggy lob. Another one of my lobs.
I mean, lobs are so versatile. Is there any face shape that you feel like can't work a lob, or you feel like it's just about the way it's cut, like you mentioned?
It's
like
really
the
about
shading in?
personalizing it
Okay.
to yourself, because I think it's the most versatile haircut out there. We have so many options of styling. Like I said, giving her the option of putting it all up when she wants to is going to be a lifesaver for her.
Awesome. Mark,
You'd probably
so
hate me if I took
Alem
it too
wants to
short.
know, what's the best haircut for thin hair?
Again, a lob is going to be really, really good. Keeping your ends a little more on the blunt side
Okay.
to really fill in. Sometimes I think with fine hair, if it gets too long, unfortunately, it just doesn't look thick and healthy. The ends
Right.
can look a
It can
little
get scraggly.
little scraggly, and I think that's the biggest thing to fight with
Ron-
thin hair.
And Rhonda wants to know, are those regular shears? I mean, they look regular to me.
Yeah, I get these from Shear World here in New York City.
Okay.
They are expensive.
Lindsay also wants to know, I need help with my naturally curly hair.
I love curly hair.
And what she should be doing with it. What are some of the mistakes you think that people sort of make when it comes to styling or cutting?
Curls do need a little more extra love than straight hair does, because you got to think about the amount of time it takes for that coil to grow. Just
Right.
You think like a quarter of an inch when it's dry is tiny, but that it's going to take.
Especially if it's a tight
a
corkscrew.
curl, maybe 2 months to grow back that length.
Right.
But you also have to keep in mind that hair has been around a lot longer. So it needs a lot of moisture. I feel like probably 90% of the women I've worked with really curly hair are desperate for moisture.
Okay. So is it really that you're doing like deep conditioning masks or oil
But
treatments and things like that?
There's no two people have the exact same hair. So
Yeah.
if you've got fine curls, make sure you're finding moisture in a very, very light conditioner. I'm obsessed with the Oxygen Moisture from Dove.
Okay.
If you've got really thick hair and really curly hair, you want something with a lot of conditioners in there. Look for natural nut oils.
Okay.
I mean, I send so many of my clients just jars of coconut oil right from the health food
There you
store.
go.
Raw, unrefined coconut oil is the greatest conditioner ever. And again, I use it on some of my clients as a pre-shampoo detangler.
And how
If you've got the
often
kind
would
of
you
curls
say
that
you
will
should do
not
that? I know it might depend exactly on your curls, but
Keep the coconut, if you keep it away from the scalp, and when you're applying it, start on the bottom and work your way up.
okay.
Even just leaving it on for like a few minutes once a week will be a huge, huge improvement on the moisture level of your hair. Nut oils can penetrate into the hair.
Okay.
So look for things like almond oil, coconut, macadamia.
Great.
They're great for the hair. They don't just sit on top of the hair. They can actually penetrate
Right.
in and get those fatty acids and lipids in there where they need to be. We're giving her a little bit of a choppy feel on the ends.
Okay.
But she has a lot of hair, but each individual hair is quite fine. So this just gives us a little bit of a separation.
Okay, so it
on
adds
those
to that movement in her
Exactly.
ends. Frida wants to know, what's the best hairbrush for a lob? Now, does your brushes and styling change with the type of haircut that you have?
Oh, yes. Well, not so much the haircut, more it changes on the hair texture.
Okay.
You know, I love my round brushes from Sportnet. They're the mixed bristle. It's a mix of plastic and natural.
Okay.
The plastic bristles can pick up the hair, giving you the lift, and then the natural bristles is what gives you that smooth.
Like that shine.
But a lot of my ladies with finer hair, if we do too much of a round brush blowout, it smooths the hair out too much, and then
Right.
it actually can make it feel fine again. So I'll use like a Mason Pearson brush, or Harry Josh
So like
has
more
a
like a
really good
paddle
flat
brush.
And flip your head upside down. Let gravity work with you to get that lift.
Okay. And
then
that way
the
your
brush
arm's
will
not getting tired.
Exactly. Exactly. I can't so many times I've had clients say, I start my blowout and then 2 minutes in, my arms are numb.
Right.
I mean, I'm a hairdresser and I'm standing behind. I don't have to lift my hands over my head.
Right.
If you're doing it yourself, your arms are going to go numb.
So lift it, go upside
Let
down,
gravity
and
do
rough
the
dry
job.
it.
Yeah.
This is looking good, Lee.
And then, because I didn't wet her, I'm going to go right into giving her some texture.
Okay.
And beach waves are never going to go out of style.
Right.
They're flattering all year. I mean, I remember, I'm a lot older than everyone in this room, but 10 years ago, we would literally wait for summer to come and then pull out our irons.
And it was
do
only
the
at that
beach.
time?
Yeah. And then for fall, we'd go back to smooth, shiny hair. It's not like that anymore. I feel like social media or the internet has gotten rid of seasonal trends.
I actually feel like, especially with lobs, it's so great for showing off texture and really getting that kind of beachy look. Can you sort of walk us through the different ways you would style beachy waves, like whether you have fine, thick, or curly hair?
Well, because if you have really curly hair, to get a beach wave, you're going to want to turn that heat up on an iron a little bit more.
Okay.
Just so it smooths,
Softens
it turns your
out
curl
a
into
little
a
bit.
wave. And it's kind of the opposite with, if you have really fine hair, go with a smaller iron.
Okay.
Because it's going to fall a bit.
So you want to do something like a 1 inch.
I would go 3/4 of an inch.
Oh. So it's like even tighter.
My favorite thing is a double barrel because
Okay.
I've got the best of both worlds on there.
Very
And
cool. So you can kind of alternate.
Exactly. And then you can even wrap the hair into a figure 8, which really gives you like an uneven kind of S bend.
Which is, I feel like, so in right now.
Yeah. It's those perfect like sausage roll waves
Right.
that we saw, 5 years ago.
Nobody's doing that.
Nobody's doing that anymore. Everybody wants hair that looks soft and touchable.
Right. Like you did it yourself at home.
Exactly.
It's like you leave the stylist looking like, hey, I did this.
Oh my God, I love these questions. Hit me.
I know. So
Being on a time crunch for me is hard just because I can talk hair for hours and hours and hours and hours.
So here's another question from one of our readers. Adrian says, my hair is thick and I tell my hairdresser to thin it out, but then they layer it and I hate layers. Is there anything else to ask for that would work better?
Thinning shears.
Thinning shears.
I use thinning shears quite a bit.
Okay.
For my clients with
So that's
really-
not with layers.
No, because that way you're thinning out from the like the mid-length down.
Okay.
I'm gonna pick up my thinning shears in about 2 seconds. So I'll show you exactly how.
You'll see exactly
they're
how
used.
it goes, Adrian.
Everyone's hair grows in a circle. This is the weird thing. It starts here and it works its way around.
Right, like
So
around the
you always
world.
have like one side that wants to come forward and one side that wants to go back. And I can always tell my clients with really thick hair which side goes forward because they'll say, can you thin this side out a little bit more?
Okay.
The other side looks so
it
good.
can be a little bit uneven.
Of course. For me, a haircut is more about how it's going to look
Right,
than if I pull it down and make sure it's the exact centimeter.
right. Kira actually wants to know, do you have any advice for people with long hair, particularly for those with a lot of hair? I mean, I feel like that's what you're saying here too. So is it that you're getting it thinned out a bit if it's too thick?
Getting it thinned out a little bit. I work with Haley Steinfeld. She has a lot of hair.
She has beautiful hair.
And it's very, very long. So sometimes when you're styling long hair, you have to give a little bit more love and a little bit more hairspray for it
Okay.
to hold. Because length equals weight
So hairspray is your friend.
before setting it with the iron. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna get some texture in her hair.
This looks fantastic. So overall, you've cut now about 5 inches off.
I would say 6 in the back.
6 inches, wow.
6 in the back. I want to do one thing when my iron heats up. We do always have to check the front and just look straight at here. So there's no.
And what would be your styling advice for Lee's hair texture? Like when she goes home and she doesn't have access to you, how should she take her own styling into work?
In damp hair, put a little bit of again, just make sure your mousse doesn't have too high of an alcohol content so it doesn't dry too much. Use mousse as a setting lotion and then tie your hair up in a couple knots. I literally, sorry. sorry about that. I got my blow dryer.
Live TV.
Live TV. Literally put a little mousse in, twist this up.
So you're
Like a
making
little
like little
clip.
mini buns
Do
on
like
the sides of
4
the
of them.
head.
Bjork in the 90s.
Yes, Bjork in the 90s is the perfect reference of what you're gonna look like while it's setting. But then when you take it out, you'll have amazing volume.
Okay.
And then you might need an iron just to, you know, if you got a kink in there from twisting it, you might have to do a little bit of a touch up.
So it's pretty like heat free too. So could you go to sleep like that maybe and then have it ready in the
Yes.
morning?
Sleep in a loose braid. They're the best things for this kind of wave that we're seeing
Right.
now.
And then how long are you wrapping the hair around this barrel to get like that perfect kind of texture for a lob?
Few seconds.
Few seconds.
And you don't want this to be uniform at all. Again, I use this one just for speed.
Okay.
Because I can use it as a single wand, or I can use it for the figure 8, because you want a combination of the two.
Right.
If you just have curling irons at home, use 2 different sizes.
Okay.
I know it's a little bit of work, but I want to show you.
And
this
I
one
know
step.
you said if you have finer hair, you want to use something that's like
Mousse.
3/4 of an inch. If you have thicker hair, what sort of size barrel should you be looking for?
If you have thick hair and it's got more of a curl to it, go with the 1 inch to a 1 1/4.
Okay.
And turn the heat up a little bit higher. Like on Lee's hair, I'm going about 300 degrees.
Okay.
Like I like an iron with settings on it, because not all hair can take that kind of heat, and it certainly doesn't need it.
Right. Keep it lower if you can.
Exactly. All right. See what the mousse does to the hair.
Yeah, it just adds a bit of texture there, a little
Exactly.
bit more wave and movement.
I can't wait
So
for
for
you to see
people
it.
who have straight hair that, have a really hard time getting, a wave into their hair, what would be your suggestion for them?
I would spray each section with a flexible hold or even an extra hold hairspray.
Okay.
Then wrap the hair around the iron, and then
So you want to do it before?
exactly. I've got a hairspray I'll show you right now. I want to do the front so you can see it.
The front is what really matters. It's what everyone sees.
I know. Again, like when you're blow drying your hair at home, don't pin your hair up and start underneath. Do the
Because nobody
opposite.
sees that.
Pin the hair, just leave all of this and really concentrate on blow drying the top sections.
So we're here again, Transformation Live. We're nearly done with this amazing lob haircut with Dove Celebrity Stylist Mark Townsend. And so we've been getting lots
I
of
wanna
comments.
come
So
every
keep,
day.
Keep
This is like the
coming.
most
Keep those
fun I've
comments
had.
coming.
You're welcome to come do
Can
my
I have a
every
job
day.
at InStyle, please?
I mean, I think every staffer will sign up to get their hair cut by you. So Nicole wants to know, how do you keep a style from falling flat in 2 hours?
I mean, when I'm doing something for the red carpet, it
Yeah.
has. I mean, last night
It's
for the
not like you
MTV
can
Awards,
touch them up.
it had to last for 6, 8, 10 hours. I mean, sometimes even longer. So, I mean, when you really want the hold, that's not when you pull out your like fast tips and tricks.
Right.
You know, I really
Take your time with it.
With Haley last night for the MTV Awards, it took me an hour and a half to do her hair. It might look effortless, but a lot of effort actually did go into it.
Right.
And because I knew it would have to
Don't be
hold,
fooled.
there was, I went through quite a bit of hairspray. Again, I spray every section of her hair.
Okay.
Then wrap it around an iron, and then just let it fall. Oh, this is looking good.
Perfect.
You're gonna look like you spent the day at the beach instead of the morning in a studio.
So Joanne wants to know, she has fine hair that's really coarse. What sort of moisturizer works best for that hair type?
I'm going to be honest, that's a difficult one, because you don't want to load up a lot of moisturizers in there.
Because it makes the hair
it's
greasy.
going to weigh down your hair. So again, switch and try to use your conditioner first.
Okay.
Before shampooing.
So can you just walk people? That's exactly how I like to wash my hair. But can you just walk? Because I think most people shampoo and then condition.
Right.
So how should people be doing it?
I mean, you can, first of all, don't ever apply your conditioner at the root. Stay at least 2 to 3 inches away from the root
Okay.
and always start at the bottom and work your way up, because
Okay.
that's where it needs it the most.
I mean, your ends are where you're going to have the most damage. So that's
Always.
really where you need your conditioner.
You've had that hair the longest, literally. Also, I would tell her not to shampoo every day. Let some
Okay.
of those natural oils work their way down to help with the coarseness.
Right.
Because a lot of times when people have coarse hair, they really just go for super, super heavy moisturizers. Or because it's fine, they skip conditioner altogether, which is not the best idea.
Ariana also wants to know, speaking of damage, what sort of masks are best for really damaged hair?
I mean, if the hair's really, really damaged and split, there is no saving it. So
Then you need a cut.
trims.
You're going to need a Transformation Live, and you're going to need to get a lob.
Once that hair is split, you can spend a lot of, time and money trying to make it look like it hasn't and trying to get it to seal back up.
Right.
But as soon as you wet the hair again, it's going to open and you're going to see the split end. So get in there with like a weekly treatment. And again, I love the Oxygen Moisture Conditioner from Dove.
Cool.
That's my obsession. And okay, can we do a reveal?
Yes, I think everyone's dying to
Do you have your
see
glasses
this
with you?
cut now. So let's go for it. Now, Lee, you can see it too. Now you got your glasses
See
on.
again.
What do you think?
Oh my gosh.
Can you see yourself there?
It looks great.
And you think play with it. Make sure you're going to be able to pull it up and stuff like that. Go ahead.
There's so much movement in her hair now, like with the S-shaped
Perfect.
bends.
I didn't even style the back. And do you mind if we
Yeah.
give a really quick shot? I mean, see, we've got a
Guys,
lot
we
of
just cut
texture back
6
there.
inches
Oh my
off
gosh.
here.
Now look down. That was so much fun. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
6 inches off
you.
here. Transformation Live, not your regular Monday morning. Thank you so much for tuning in. And thank you, Mark.
Thank you. Salt sprays too. Everybody go get one. Because even though we're at the end of summer, a salt spray will give the hair such amazing texture.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. Thanks for
Thank
joining
you.
us. I love this. This looks so good.
Oh, I'm so happy. Thank you for letting me do it.